Welcome back to the homestead. The babies are hatching. It's time, and actually today's only day 18, and I have several babies already pipped and two that are already hatched, or hatching. One's 90% hatched. Anyway, they're coming, and they're coming early. I'm a little unprepared. I thought I had a couple more days to do this, but I'm going to throw up a video to show you guys how to prepare a small container for your baby chicks. First of all, the totes that come with the lid are really handy to use. This one is one from last year, so it's a little stained up, a little bit dirty. We take this kind of tote, and this is the bigger one that you can get. And my wonderful husband cut out the top of the lid and put this wire that we used for our rabbit hutches down. Whenever you put it down over the top of your brooders for your babies and you snap them in, no predators can get into them, like cats, or if you have inside pets. It works great. I highly recommend it, and it doesn't take very much time at all to do it. Well, this is an old jar. Could have picked a cleaner one. Another thing that we need is you need a way to water them and to feed them. Go to your local farm store or feed store. Pick up these handy dandy little waterers. I like the galvanized metal ones better, but the price is high, and these will work well as long as you take care of them. They do come with plastic jars that you can buy to go with them, but we have several jars here. So there you go. We have an automatic waterer for our chicks. Now, if the chicks are very small or when they first hatch the first couple of days, we put clean rocks in our tray. This prevents the chicks from drowning or from falling asleep head first in the feeder, which they spontaneously go to sleep, and we don't want any accidental drowning. Another thing that I do is I'll put about a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, preferably raw, but at least some type of apple cider vinegar in their water, and this helps to give them more electrolytes and to prevent pasty butt. If you're not familiar with what pasty butt is when they evacuate their bottoms and it sticks to the fluff, and it will actually clog them up to where they can't go anymore, and they can die from it. So be aware. If you do have a chick that does get pasty butt, all you have to do is use a nice warm rag and gently wipe the bottom until it comes off. Don't pull, because you don't want to pull the fluff out or do any damage. It comes off. It's not a big deal as long as you catch it early. Another thing that we have is a feeder, and there's several different kinds of feeders. They were out of the long ones that I normally get, so I had to get these today. This is a 2-piece feeder. They do make galvanized feeders just like this. You fill up your jar. It's windy, so I hope you can hear me. You fill up your jar. Maybe. This one might not fit this jar. There it goes. Flip it over. The cavity fills. You set it inside your brooder, and they have access to all of the feed that they need. Now, when you have as many chicks as I normally hatch, the longer feeders that you don't need a jar for, that have these holes all the way across, are a bit better, but I could not find those today. So, and mine are all tore up. Another thing that you need is you need some good quality bedding. People use a variety of things. I've even seen people use carpet, but for me, I use flicker wood. It's just pine shavings. These pine shavings won't hurt them. They don't stink as easily. I've never had chicks eat them. I've had people say they were concerned about the chicks eating the shavings. I've never had that problem. I even use these in my big brooder house when they move outside, when it gets warm enough or when they get big enough. But you just want to cover the bottom evenly. These chickens think this is feed. I tell you, when you raise chickens, you're never alone. Or turkeys. Where's my turkey? I know he's here somewhere. Actually, for once, he's not right here. The ducks are right over there. Anyway, you spread it out, nice even layer, and that's all you need. I normally take a small saucer, which I don't have one with me today, and I will place my waterer especially on the saucer so that they cannot make a mess and get their bedding all wet, because they will. The feed is not necessarily such a big deal, but the water is. Okay, so we have our container, we have the bed for them, we have our feeders, we have our waterers. We do use a medicated chick starter feed. Hopefully you can see it. I do not normally use a medicated feed on my chickens, but when they first start out, I do go ahead and I use it until probably the first 30 days or so, or maybe a little bit longer, depending on the type of chick that I have. We've never had any problem with it. I know some people are against it. You do what's best for your household, but for us, I've tried the other way, and I've had some sickly chicks that didn't work out so well, and I've never had a problem with using a medicated chick starter. It's not for very long. It's not for life. Once they get their good start, they're fine. So this is a Neutrina. There's several different kinds. This is just what the feed store happened to have for today. I have used other kinds. I do believe it's an 18% protein, I think. Yes, it's 18%, and it is a crumble. Once they get just a couple weeks old, they'll already start to forage, and I mean, you can give them greens or what have you, pick it and bring it into them if you're not letting them out into a very safe, enclosed, fenced-in area. I do have a broody hen in my brooder house. I've given her 3 eggs to hold her over, and I'm kind of hoping that she will take on our new babies, because if she does, then that's going to save me a lot of work. Now, we have the feed, we have the home, we have the bedding, we have the water, we have the feeder. The heat, they have to stay warm. Even in the springtime, here we are in almost May, they still need to be kept warm, especially at night. We do use a heat lamp. There are some very nice, more expensive, low-lying warmers that they make for chicks, and that's just an investment that we've not made. They will stay in my living room for the first couple weeks, and they will have a heat lamp on them. Once they get a little bit older, or it's a little warmer outside at night, we will move them into our screened-in porch where they're still protected, and they'll have a heat lamp on them there as well. It's not until they're quite a bit older before we remove the heat lamp. That's just what we do for our household. You do what's right for you. There's a lot of different options, but the number one thing is that they have to stay warm. Now, once you have everything all good and set up, and you take your babies out of the incubator, or you bring them home from the feed store, the first thing that you have to do is to make sure that they get a drink. If they come from the feed store, they pretty well have it licked. They've got it figured out. But if you're pulling it out of an incubator, you need to dip their beaks into the waters until you see them drink. Don't drown them, just dip them in there, and it doesn't take them long. And usually if 1 or 2 figures it out, the rest will follow easily. But I will still dip every single chick's beak into the water. That's Cowboy, that's one of the papas. Into their water to make sure that they know where that water's at and what it's for. And you can do the same with the feed. Like I said, most of the time, once they see chickens are nosy, they were all right behind me, now they're in front of me. If they see another bird eating something or checking something out, they're going to run over and they're going to do it too. So it doesn't take long for them to catch on. Once they're eating, once they're drinking, once you keep them warm, all you have to do is just monitor them, check on them. The more you hold them, the friendlier they are. And if you've seen any of your videos, you know that my birds are everywhere. Mr. Andy, the turkey's right there. He's looking at me. He follows me everywhere, even to the car. The more you handle them, the better off they are and you are. The tamer they are. And you've got really good friends. Chickens are the best. They're the most fun. And you get eggs and meat if you need it. I'm trying to think if I've missed anything else. If you have any other ideas or advice and something that I've missed, let me know. I know I say that a lot, but I'm always up for learning. I don't know everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to go finish setting up for our first new babies. One more thing, you don't have to pull them out of the incubator immediately. You can leave them in there for, these guys here are just hatching, and it is in the evening, probably about 5 o'clock. So I'm going to probably leave them until morning before I put them under the heat lamp. It's not going to hurt, and actually it helps, because when they're in there and they're peeping and they're moving around, it encourages the other chicks, and they can hear them, and they're actually a lot more robust, I think. That's the word I'm going to use, and more likely to hatch, because they want to get out and they want to see what's going on and what the other chicks are talking about. So anyway, take care. Thank you for joining me. Do what you can right where you are, and I'm sure Jesse Boy will be out here to give you his memory verse. See you next time.
Do what you can right where you are. Psalm 34, verse 8, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him. We're going to have chicks.